how's it going? Been a while. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had some fun camping time, and it's been a fun summer. I can't believe it's already August, but then again, it's already August, so I guess I have to believe it. Cool, so let's dive into it. Thanks for the videos. Looking at your 16th note backbeat groove, this guy right here with the heel toe motion in the left foot. 2 thumbs up, 2 of them. Really nice. Very proud of you. You pushed through it. It's perfect. It looked awesome. I'm assuming it probably feels pretty good because you're playing it perfectly and you have that beautiful toe heel motion in your left foot. And everything else is doing what it should. You got the kick drum part. Your mix is good. The right hand's great. The left hand's great. Everything's great. So, let's see if we could finish up this beat, or at least take the next step. So, if we remember, this one here in blue pen, which is the one you've been working on, it's a little bit of a simplified version of this one, which we're eventually trying to get. And, I mean, you're almost there. You've really worked out the hard part. So, the next step would be to take this bass drum here, which is the of 3. And I'm just going to write it in down here, and we're going to add that one. After that, we just have that one bass drum note left here on the of 4 left over that we'll need to get in. But let's not worry about that now. Let's try to get the of 3 in there. So I'm just going to write that in. And you could do the same if you got, if you printed this out or whatever you're looking at. Just draw in the of 3 into that one, like that. And that's the next step. So I think we were around 50, but give or take, it's fine. So here's 50. So toe, heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe, heel. And of course I'm maintaining that toe, heel, toe, heel. I'm maintaining that motion in my left foot, even though you can't see it, but I'm not really messing with the foot cam right now because I think you get the idea, and it saves me some time having to edit that in. So if you really need to see that, let me know, but it seems like at this point you got the idea. So and your foot looked great. So this is over here beeping, and I'm gonna play this so I can stop listening to this thing beeping at me. So this is the one that I just wrote in. It's what you were doing plus that kick drum note on the of 3. And this will be your next step to try to get this together. So it goes like this. And I'm rushing. Let me think about that tempo first. So I kind of get it into my body. I use my mouth. It's a little slower than I thought it was. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'll give it to you again from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. should be easy enough. If you're having trouble with that of 3, you got to go back to counting again. So if that confuses you, go back and count and then try again and keep counting. But should be good to go. So next up, fills. You were very close with that fill. You sort of changed it a little bit. So we should, and actually what you did was cool. It's a cool fill. It's just different than the fill that was on the page. And, not that I'm trying to be controlling, but, you know, let's see if we can get this one and then we can talk about other ones. So it's this fill we were looking at, right? Your sticking was correct, which is good. And I know these fills, you know, they could sort of sound the same. They're similar, but if you really listen, they are different. And when it comes to playing music and playing drums, little differences make a big difference, actually. So, okay. Let me grab a tempo here. We were at 100, I believe. Yeah. So I'll just play this fill again for you. Again, your sticking was right, and obviously the voicing was right. You played it all on snare drum. Your phrasing was right. It was at the end of the 4-bar phrase. That was all good. The beats sounded fantastic, so nice work there. It's just the actual fill, the rhythm of the fill, you sort of changed a little bit. And, well, let me play what you played. I'll try to play what you played. And I think at this point, I don't necessarily want to try to explain what you played, because it gets a little complicated and we're not quite there yet. It involves us needing to talk about some other things first. So anyways, I'll just play like the first beat. And we're on hi-hat. First beat. Okay. And this is what you played. So your fill sounded like this. Da-ka-da, da-ka-da. If you can sing the fill, then you can play the fill. So I actually kind of did that before I just demonstrated this. I had a little note written down there of what it was that you did, and I sort of sang it to myself when I was playing the beat so I wouldn't mess it up. And that way when I actually played it, it was the same thing that you played. So you could try that. I'd recommend trying to sing things all the time. Really, it's super helpful. I have my own sort of way of doing it. Everybody has their own kind of way of doing it. You don't have to sing numbers. You don't have to count. You just use like basic syllables. Da-ka-da, da-ka-da. You know, however you can vocalize what it is you're trying to play. If you can sing it or vocalize it, then you can play it. If you can't sing it, chances are you can't play it. So let me play what's on the page and see if you can hear the difference. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the fill on the page, the fill you played. the fill on the page, the fill you played. Yours goes da-ka-da, da-ka-da. The one on the page goes da-da-ga-da, da-ga, da-da-ga-da, da-ga, crash. Yours goes da-ka-da, da-ka-da, crash. I know, they sound sort of similar, but they're very different. And if I wrote them out, they would be very different on the page. So, you could try to use your ears, of course. You have good ears. You can hear things. And see if you can hear the difference and make yours sound like the one that's on the page, not the one that you were playing. And if that's still sort of confusing, I'm looking for my pen, which I just had. You can try counting, of course. So, again, looking at this one, I will write in what you would say. 3 and 4 and like that. 3 and a 4 and a. And at 100, 3 and a 4 and a. It's pretty quick. 3 and a 4 and a. So we're leaving out the E. There's actually space there, which is what makes it different from the one that you played. You didn't have the space there. You put the space at the end of your groupings. This has space sort of in the middle of the groupings. 3 and a 4 and a. Dot, dega, dot, dega. So that can help. Counting, singing, vocalizing, and if it's still confusing, slow it down. So let's drop it to like 80, and I'll play the same thing for you. So it would be 3 and a 4 and a. That's a little easier to vocalize if you're down at 80. It's not about speed right now, it's about playing it correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, I hope that helps. Again, your fill was cool, and you were playing it really well. It sounded great. It's just different than what was on the page. So, that should make sense for that. Oh, also, a note to you and your dad. For this fill that we've been working on, at this point, I don't necessarily need to see videos for all 3 of these beats. If you just want to shoot one video, choose one of these beats. I'm mostly concerned with seeing what the fill looks like at this point, because these beats are all sounding fantastic. So I would still practice all of the beats with the fill that we're working on, but it'll save you a little time as far as getting video. One beat, pick a beat, and show me the fill a bunch of times, and that's totally cool. So thanks for that. Okay, next, rudiments. Okay, so the rudiment that you showed me was actually a rough, but I think we're working on flams, right? If that's what I remember, which I think I'm right. Could be. Flams, right? We started working on flams. So we were looking at here. Flams. Okay? So flams, they're sort of like roughs, but instead of 2 little notes before the accented note, it's just 1 note before the accented note. So sorry if that was confusing from the last time, but a right-handed rough with the 2 little notes would look like this. So we have, there's actually 2 notes going on there, right? A flam is very similar to that, except it's just 1 note before the accented note. So a right-handed flam would look like this. Okay, so that's what you need to dial in. You can show me your right-handed flams, and then a left-handed flam would be the opposite of that. You got the small little note in the right and the accented note in the left. Okay, and hopefully that makes sense now. And that's enough to work on. You don't even necessarily need to do that with a metronome right now. It doesn't even necessarily have to be like super in time. You're just trying to train your hands to make it sound like what I just did. So there's things to think about, making sure that the first little note isn't too loud and that the second note is loud. It's an accented note. Very similar to roughs also in that aspect. And then the other important thing is the spacing between the little note and the accented note. So the ones that I just played were all pretty good as far as spacing. So see if you can hear the difference. I'm going to play some where the spacing is too close together. You're almost hitting like at the exact same time. Okay, so those are very close, almost the exact same time. Now I'll play some where the spacing is too far apart. So that's too far apart, right? Da-da, you can really hear the two notes. We want them sort of sandwiched together a little bit, somewhere in between those. So good flams would sound more like this. And then left-handed flams. And of course the goal is to find that ideal spacing and make them all the same. They don't have to be identical to mine. Everybody's flam spacing is slightly different. It just needs to be in that sort of ballpark. Not too far apart, not close together. And you'll find that one side is more comfortable than the other. For us right-handed players, usually left-handed flams are easier because remember, the right hand plays first in a left-handed flam. The left hand is actually the accented note. So because the right comes first, it's actually easier for most right-handed drummers. I'm not going to talk to you for a couple weeks, which I forgot to mention earlier, but your dad knows. I got to go down to New York for a little bit, so I'm sorry I can't make time for a lesson this coming week. But if you get to a point where those flams are feeling pretty good and you want to put them to a metronome, we're going for 70, but like 60 would be fine. Even 50 if you want. I find 50 to be very slow, especially probably for this thing. So maybe 60. 70's not that fast either, so that might work for you. And just remember that the accented note needs to line up perfectly with the metronome. The little unaccented note actually comes before the beat. So when you play this with a click or metronome, the accented notes are with the click, on the downbeats, as we would say. So at 60, I'll do some right-handed flams. 2, 3, 4. And now I'll do some left-handed flams. The left falls with the click on the downbeat. 2, 3, 4. Okay? And then on the actual page, we end up alternating between right-handed flam, left-handed flam, right-handed flam, left-handed flam. That might be a little too much for right now, and it's no big deal. I think it's more important that you really get your two sides feeling comfortable and sounding good on their own, and then we can worry about alternating back and forth. No big deal. So, all right. I was going to give you something else to do, but I think this is probably enough stuff. Especially since it's summertime and you're probably trying to have more fun than work these days. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. So, that'll be it for today. And like I said, I'll probably talk to you, hopefully, in a couple weeks, somewhere around August 15th. And after that, I'll be around. I don't see any trips coming up for any reason. I'm usually around pretty much all the time, except for next week or this coming week. Okay, cool. Alrighty. Thanks again for your work, and I'll talk to you soon.